Hi there, I'm Mrs. Wagner. Welcome back to Building Your Skill Base for Understanding Pre-algebra. Today you'll be learning 3 rules for combining integers that will improve your accuracy. Now who wouldn't want to do that? When you combine integers, it means you are either adding or subtracting them. For this lesson, you will need to understand that all integers are either positive or negative, and that combining the same number of positives and negatives always equals 0. Let's illustrate the first rule with this idea. You know how it is in school. When you find friends you like, you hang together because you have enough of the same interests. Did you know that integers hang together too? When they have the same signs, that is, and you end up having more of them, whether positive or negative. Our first rule for combining integers says, when I see integers with the same sign, I add the numbers and keep the sign. Let me show you 2 ways to picture this in your mind. We'll review this quickly since you've been combining positive integers throughout elementary school. I can draw blocks to show their value, or I can draw it on a number line like this. I have a positive 7 combined with a positive 4 equals a positive 11. The same sign rule also applies when both signs are negative. But it's easy to become confused if you don't realize that any problem can be written several different ways. No matter which way you look at these problems, you have a negative 5 and a negative 8. So don't forget to circle the integers with their sign and you won't get confused. So let's look at this problem. I see that both integers are negative. If I drew blocks, it might look like this. Or, on a number line, I have a negative 8 combined with a negative 5 equals a negative 13. Say the rule with me. When I see integers with the same sign, I add the numbers and keep the sign. For the next rule, let's go back to the friend issues. What happens when you're different from someone else? Sometimes things don't work out, do they? Did you know that integers act in the same way as we do? Who would have thought? Our second rule says, when I see integers with different signs, I subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the one that has more. We have to find out if we have more positives or negatives, and how many more. Let's illustrate when you see more positives. I can draw blocks representing the numbers. I have 5 negatives and 8 positives. I see I have 5 equal numbers of positives and negatives, which always equals 0. Then I see I have 3 more positives left. On a number line, it would look like this. I start with what I have more of, positive 8, then I move in the negative direction 5 places. I have 3 positives left. Ready to say the rule? When I see integers with different signs, I subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the one that has more. Oh, by the way, did you see where to draw a 0 on the number line? Here it is. Next, this is what happens when you see more negatives. I see I have a positive 3 and a negative 9. Looking at the blocks, there are 3 positives and negatives, which equals 0. Leaving me with 6 negatives. Or on a number line, it would look like this. I start with what I have more of, which are 9 negatives. Then I move in the positive direction 3 spaces. What do I have left? 6 negatives. Do you know the rule yet? When I see integers with different signs, I subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the one that has more. Did you see the 0 on the number line? Way to go. Now for our last rule. There always has to be an exception, right? Just like when trying to get along with others, there are some people who can get along with anyone. Are you the type of person that can turn a negative into a positive? Let's see what integers can do. There are 2 parts to the double negative rule, which says, when I see a double negative, I change both negative signs to a positive before I combine integers. Then go back to the same or different sign rule to combine. Let's look at some examples of what a problem might look like. Do you see the two negative signs around one side of the parentheses? That's the double negative. The quickest way to change both negatives to a positive is by connecting in the negative signs like this. Do you see how this changes it into one big positive sign? You can also rewrite it like this if it helps you. Let me show you what this means on a number line. Let's set up the problem by circling the integers. I have a -6, then I'm going to take away a -4 or add 4, which leaves us with a -2. Do you see that by taking away a negative we go in the positive direction? That's why we change both negative signs to a positive. Let's set up the next problem. Are you getting the hang of this? I have a +7, then I take away a -2 or add 2, which ends up at +9. So remember, when you take away a negative, you move in the positive direction. Let's review a different way today. It's a good idea to memorize the rules, but for now, I'd rather have you practice being able to see where to apply the rules you've just learned. Are you ready? Which rule was used to solve this problem? Did you guess the different sign rule? How about this problem? That's right, the double negative rule, then the same sign rule. How about this one? That's right, the same sign rule. And this one? It has two rules. Do you see them? The different sign rule and the zero rule. So how did you do? Were you able to see where and when to use these rules within mathematical problems? With practice you will. That's it for now. Your math thought for the day is, think about how you react to positives and negatives in your life and be the exception by making a positive difference. See you next time.